Welcome back to SharePoint Charts Complete Training. In today's session, we're going to take a look at bar charts. And we're referring to both horizontal bar charts, where you have the bars going from left to right, and then also the vertical bar chart, where you have columns on the page. Also, we're going to take a look at doing those charts both from a single row of data, single SharePoint record, or working from multiple rows of data. We have templates to handle both of those situations, and we'll explore that in the training. Okay, so let's begin. I'm back in my SharePoint Charts training site, and just like with our other training sessions, we need to start by getting our lists ready to go, which we're going to use for our charting. So for this one, you've got two Excel workbooks from which you'll create your SharePoint list. So just go to the SharePoint Charts training site and start by downloading those. I've already downloaded those to my local computer, so at this point I can go ahead and get those opened up. So we'll start with the Wise Industries monthly expenses one row. So just click the button to enable editing, click on table design, and then click on export table to SharePoint list. And then we need to paste in the URL from our training site that we're using. So I just grab that from my URL, and then I can come back over to Excel and paste. And then I like to just make my list name match the Excel workbook, so I'll just type the same thing in. Wise Industries monthly expenses. I'm not going to type the one row part. Well, maybe I should to differentiate when we go looking for it. Just thinking about that. Yeah, we'll type it in. That'll make things more clear. Okay, then just click next. And it just tells you the data types, and that's fine. What it reads is correct. So just click Finish. Click OK. You can close that workbook. Then we want to open the second workbook. And you can see the data is in rows in this workbook. So we need to go ahead and get that to SharePoint as well. So click on Table Design, Export Table to SharePoint List. Paste again to get the site name in there, and then Wise Industries monthly expenses multi-row. Click next, and you can see it detects our columns, and just click Finish and OK. You can close that. We will not need the workbooks for the remainder of the training, so you can just set those aside. And now we want to go to SharePoint. Okay, so I've got two lists that were created. I like to start by getting links to my lists. So I'm going to go ahead and get that going. Let's go to Site Contents first, and then we want to find the list that were just created. Okay, so we've got multi-row and one row. Let's start with the one row list. And when this is created from Excel, it's going to automatically lock it into a grid edit, and we want to switch that. So click on your gear icon and go to List Settings, and then Advanced Settings, and it's the Quick Property option that we want to turn off. And while we're at it, you can select New Experience in the last setting. Okay, and then you can just click on the name of the list at the top to return you back, and then we will do some different views of this data. So we've got Wise Industries monthly expenses one row. Let's do this. Let's do Save View as horizontal, we'll just assume we say bar chart, that means horizontal bar chart, 1 row. And then also from this list, we're going to do a column chart, 1 row. So let me say view as COL for column chart, 1 row. Okay. And then what we're going to do is link back to those. So it gives you kind of a funny URL at first, and I like to get the nice URL. A quick way to do that is just edit current view, and then just hit OK. And what that does is give me a nicer URL at the top. So bar chart window. Okay, so I'm just copying that, and I want to have a nice organized dashboard here. So I'm going to edit my quick links and add a link, and I'm just pasting in here. Okay, and this can just be called bar chart, 1 row. Let's change the icon. So I'll do chart, and that looks like what I am after. Okay, so that just jumps me to this view, which will have our template in a moment. And then let's go to the column chart, 1 row. Do a refresh. It's not showing to me right now. I know it's there. Sometimes you have a caching issue with SharePoint where it takes a while for things to show up. Let's do this. I'm going to change the URL at the top. There it is, column chart, 1 row. I'm just going to grab that URL, return back to the home page, and make one more quick link. Paste in there, and I can get rid of this .aspx stuff. I don't want to see that. And then we'll get a corresponding icon for this. So that was the horizontal. We want like a vertical looking one, so probably I'll do, oh, here we go, that's a good one. All right. We're just making it easy to navigate around to our site for future reference. Okay, so let's start with the bar chart going horizontally with 1 row of data. Okay, so in your training, there are links to these different templates. What you'll see is that there are 4 templates available to us. We have a horizontal template for 1 row of data and vertical for 1 row of data, and then we have a horizontal for multiple rows of data and for vertical. So depending on your data set, what you're working with, that'll help you decide which template to pick. So let's start with this. This is the template for a bar chart using 1 row of data. Whenever you're doing the charting templates, you should always start by browsing through the different themes. It just helps you get some ideas on what your preferences are going to be in terms of how your chart looks. So, you know, a lot of that's subjective. It's really up to your own preferences, but this helps you see the possibilities. So I do recommend you always look through those options first before you do anything else. Now, our data points for this one are here. So we've got columns which are named after the month names, and we need to make sure that that is going to match in our configuration data. So that's the first thing we should check. Now, you will change this if you're doing another kind of chart. By default, it's set to 12. It has some dummy values. It happens to match up with our practice data that we're doing for training, so it makes it a little easier. We don't have to make changes to the field names or the number of SharePoint fields in this case, we're ready to go. And what I like to do is just get things rolling just to make sure we're connecting up with our template okay. So we want to apply that template early before we make a lot of other adjustments. So I'm going to go to the view selector, select format current view, then go to advanced mode and paste. Okay, there's my chart, so that's good. We have an initial chart. I don't like it saying my chart at the top. I often forget to do that initially. What we wanted to do is use reference the title field. You can either put in an explicit title where you just type what you want, or you can just reference the title field. Let's just say Wise Industries Expenses. Let's do it this way. I usually do the title field, but let's just see typing in the text. So I just copy that. Whoops, wrong page. And just replace what you had with your new information. And now the title is corrected. So let's leave that alone. Let's go ahead and create a second view of this. So I'm going to do save view as, and then I can just say bar chart 1 row 2, like the second one. Well, let's do B because we already have that number in there just to make things more obvious. Okay, so that just makes another view so we can do multiple views. Let's look at other options and settings that are available to us. Okay, so as with the other templates, you have lots of options for the colors and font sizes and things like that. So you can pretty quickly understand how to do that. One of the first things I'd recommend is adjusting the size. You know, generally speaking, you want to fill up your space. So if I look on my web page, I can see, you know, I've got room to make this a little wider and a little taller. So let's go ahead and do that first. So I'm going to go to the chart width. Let's make that wider. I'll make that 1300 and then 600. You can see our preview is automatically going to adjust. And then let's just change the colors just to see something different. So for the background, let's remove the gradient. Let's just go to a solid background color, and I can just change canvas background. Let's just make it light white. And then for the bar gradient, that's actually a gradient color in the bar. Let's just go ahead and leave that alone. Generally, I like that okay. And then the bar width percentage, that tells it how full these bars are in their lanes, if that makes sense to you. So I can make that smaller if I want. It's a percentage, so I can make those little skinnier if I want to. And then also I've got an option to show the values if I want at the end of the bar. So just some different things we can do. Now the minimum and maximum, it's going to automatically try to determine those for you, but you may want to do something different there. So let's go ahead and set that explicitly. I'm going to do show values, and then I'm going to set my min and max on my own. And you want to make sure that that max obviously is bigger than the largest value in your data set. So I want to take a look at my data. In my case, it doesn't really go over 20,000, so that would probably be fine for a max value for this data for now. So there's 20,000, and then I can come down here and just do copy template. And format current view, and just, so always just copy, paste, select all and paste. There we go. So what you'll notice has changed. We see the bars are skinnier, we see the values are appended on the end of the bars, and we see that our range for the data now shows from 0 to 20,000. So lots of opportunities for fine-tuning and adjustments. Okay, and then if you wanted to, you could even have rounded ends to the bars if you just like that curved look. And then everything else is generally pretty self-explanatory. You can just tweak these different color settings, font sizes, and stuff like that, according to however you want your chart to work. So the next template we want to take a look at really uses all the same principles as this one. It's just going to do it with columns instead of rows. So that is the template, which is also going to use a single row of SharePoint data, and this is the column template for one row. So let's go ahead and switch over and look at that now. So in my SharePoint list, I want to go to the column chart one row. That's the one where we're going to apply our template. And I want to, of course, check my field names again. The defaults here happen to match with our data that we're training on. In your case, you're going to need to switch that to input your field names and the amount of SharePoint fields. So we're fine with that. Let's not have it say my chart this time. Let's put Wise Industries expenses, and then I'm ready. I can go ahead and click copy, and then OK. And now I can bounce back to SharePoint, and just like before, you go to the View selector, Format Current View, Advanced Mode, and then paste. Okay, and there's my initial chart. So it's just showing the same data, and it's going from left to right this time. So it's just according to your preference, and you may make a different decision according to how much data you have, how many fields, what the expectations are for your users, that type of thing. So let's make a couple of other adjustments just to get this a little bit more like we want. So let's do Save View As, and we'll do B since it's the second chart. And then we'll come back over to SharePoint, or excuse me, back over to the template builder, and we'll make some adjustments for this. Once again, I'd like it to fill that space, so we'll do 1300 and 600. Just kind of fill up the area. I'm going to override the min-max. I don't want it to try to do that for me. I want it to be exactly as I tell it to do it. Okay, I have that set to 20,000. Let's turn off the background gradient. I'm going to select none. And then let's go ahead and give the canvas a background color. So that's over here on Canvas BG as in background. And let's switch that to a light yellow. All right, let's go ahead and copy. What you should try to do is just make a few changes at a time instead of trying to get everything perfect before you copy back over. And you can do that because it's so fast. You can just do Format Current View, Control A, Control V, and save, and immediately apply those changes. So you can do that very quickly. All right, so that covers templates where you're going to be working from that one row of data. Remember that when we started, we had a workbook that just had that single row. And depending on the data you're working with, that may match up with your situation perfectly. The alternative is working with multiple rows of data, and you can see where that may provide you better flexibility or advantages depending on your data set. So let's go ahead and get into that list now. So let's go back to Site Contents, and I'm going to go to that data set. So this was the Wise Industries expenses multi-row. If you hover over these, you can see the description. Okay, and this is our multi-row. I'm just going to the advanced settings, and once again we want to turn off quick property because we don't want to see that kind of Excel grid edit mode. We want to turn that off when we're working with our templates. So now I can go back to my list, and then I want to go ahead and create some views for the charts that I'm getting ready to set up. So what I'll do is save view as, and we'll call this bar chart 1. Oh, well, let's say bar chart multi, and then like that. Then we'll do a save view as column chart multi. Okay, and then I want to get that nice view name, so I'm going to do edit current view. Just hit OK. Then I can copy this. I want to set up those links from my home page so it's not hard for me to get to this stuff. So I'm going to edit this, and we'll do add link from a link. Click add. I want to get rid of that .aspx. Chart. You can use that same icon again, that's fine. And then let's do the one for the bar chart for multi-row. So I know the only thing different in that URL is that it's bar here. Like that. Change the icon. Chart. I can use the same icon I did again. So the reason I'm doing all this is just so that as we move along, there's lots of different charts and things like that. I don't have to go digging for that. I want to make it real easy to get to those. Okay, so let's start with the bar chart multi-row. And now we can come back over. So we've done 2 templates. Now we're going to do the other 2, which handle this multi-row data. Okay, so here's the first one, and those are linked from your training page in case you're wondering where those are. So you can go back and reference that if you're looking for the SharePoint Dashboards template that you're going to apply. Now this one works just with a few fields. So remember, we had to put in all those different fields before. We really only need a label and a value field in this case. So what we're going to do is come to our data, and what we're interested in is the field for month and for expenses. We do want to make sure the field name matches up. I believe it should match up with month, but it may be doing the SharePoint title field. I'm about to find out in a second. So I'm just going to type those in. So I come back over here, and I'm going to close these templates just so I don't get confused. So once again, it was month and expenses. Month. Just say copy and OK. Okay, go to the view selector, format current view, advanced mode. Save. All right, I know what the issue is. I believe I need to use title for that. So although it's set up at the top of the column month, in fact, it's using that to be the SharePoint title field, I believe. I'm about to confirm that. The other thing is I need to adjust the values. There we go. So you do need to use the title field. Sorry for the misdirection on that front. In fact, I will change the template to make it default to title so you don't get tripped up. Okay, and then we need to change the range. The range of our data is wrong. In this template, it doesn't automatically adjust that. You need to explicitly put that in. So I need to say that our max is 20,000. I can copy that template again, reapply it, and then our chart won't look broken. There we go. Now things are looking a little bit more normal. I still need some room in there, so let's make it even a higher max than 20,000. So let's go ahead and switch that to 25,000. give it some room to grow. Copy the template, click OK, and then come back over here and paste. Okay, so now we got a little bit of room. Now it might be hard to see, but there's some broken image links in here. You do have the option to download and use gradients. In the case of this template, there is a set of images that you need to download and load that to your local site if you're going to use that. For the sake of our demonstration, we're not going to use the background gradient for this. I'm just going to turn that off. So I'll select none for the gradient, and then I'll just have a a regular background color. So I just made that adjustment, and I can come back over here. And then I made the silly mistake on the chart title again, so let's go ahead and give it a name, Wise Industries Expenses. Okay, now we got it. Copy and paste. Okay, so now we have a working chart. Now, one thing I noticed in here, I want to show the sign for currency. So I'm going to do dollars in my case, but you can, of course, put other things in here. So the way I can make that adjustment is just to come back over here, and you have options for value prefix or value suffix. So I can just put a dollar sign in there, and then reapply the template, and you'll see that that's going to be adjusted for me. There you go. So now you see dollar amounts appearing in our chart. Okay, let's go ahead and create a copy of that. So bar chart multi, let's do save view as bar chart multi 2. And then, let's try some different options. Let's explore and see what else we can do with this particular template. So let's do curved bars. Notice there's kind of a 3D effect turned on at the moment. That's optional. You don't have to do that. It just gives it kind of an isometric 3D view if you want to use it. That is the 3D bar height. You can set that to a different value. I just changed it down to 2, so it's still there, but in a more subtle way. Just an option for you. And then you've got options for the grid in terms of how that looks. You can turn that off completely if you don't want it. And of course, like the other templates, we can adjust the colors. I can adjust how skinny the bars are. Maybe I want them to be a little more packed in. And then the bar width percentage is how much of that lane it fills up. So if you have a lot of data, that could be really useful to you. It allows you to sort of pack in your data more efficiently. So let me go ahead and copy that over, and let's take a look and see what that looks like. Format current view, and then just Control A, Control V, to select all and paste quickly. So let's talk about the difference between this template and the other one. This is going to allow you to have, generally speaking, any number of records. So unlike the other one where you had to have a SharePoint field for each data point, this one can really accommodate a larger data set, and you can imagine this could just keep going down the page where you can scroll and scroll. So that really provides you some flexibility that you didn't have with the other template. Now, just as in the other case, you can have that go left to right as well, and it works with the same data set. You don't have to have any difference in the data values. It's the same type of setup. So let's go to that now. So we're going to go to column chart, multi, and then let me go ahead and adjust. I'm going to get back to my template screen. So we can go ahead and close that template. We're done with it. Now we'll just go to bar charts. Okay, and let's fix the title first. We know we want to do that. Wise Industries Expenses. And then we remember that the min and max kind of tripped us up earlier, so let's make sure we fix that right away. We remember that we got to use the title for the first field, and then the number field, it's just expenses, so I just need to type that in. I'm going to turn off the background gradient, And let's see where that gets us for a starting point. So I just go to Format Current View, Advanced Mode, and select all and paste, then save. There we go. So as you may have predicted, this is giving me a scroll from left to right. And there isn't necessarily an advantage between one or the other compared to the last template we just did. It's just according to your preference and the way that you want to see your data. Now, I would certainly like to have it fill the space more, so I want to make that adjustment next. So this is the habit you want to be in. Just keep making copies of that view. That way you've got different options to look at instead of just erasing your work every single time by reapplying different settings. Okay, so let's go back over, and I said that I wanted to adjust the size of my chart, so I'll go ahead and do that. So we've got a column width. Let's make that a little bit skinnier, just to make our data a little more packed in. And then let's change that canvas height and make it taller. And we did want to do dollars, so I'll put in a cash sign there, and then I can just do copy template again, and come back over here, Format Current View, select all, and paste. There we go. We've got dollar amounts. Notice our columns are packed in a little tighter. Now it's a little harder to pack these in because of the way the labels work. Obviously you need some room for your text. Depending on how your labels are set up, that could kind of cause some problems as far as that goes. So that's a subtle difference between the vertical and horizontal layout. But you can see all my data is there. And what's great about this is it can grow. I don't have to adjust my chart. If I added this, in this case we've got 2 years of data. It's going through the calendar months for 2023 and then 2024. I could just keep on adding more rows, and it's going to automatically pick that up and show that in the chart. So that's a very cool thing about this type of setup. So a lot to cover there. This is really trying to show you all the different options that you have for your charts. So I hope you found that interesting. Obviously bar charts are going to be a key go-to whenever you're going to be doing charting data. With pie charts, also people expect to see those a lot. So you definitely want to get a lot of practice with these and use them a lot and explore the options. In the configuration, in the template screens, there's a lot of different things that you can do. Not only with the colors for the backgrounds and the borders and things like that, you can really adjust the sizing and the look of things in many different ways. So a lot of possibilities, and you can execute that quickly. You can see the changes immediately in the preview, in the template screen, and you can apply those in your template by just simple copy paste very fast. This sets you up for our next training sessions, which is going to be on how to do those in groups, because oftentimes we have a set of values that we're tracking. So in the next session we're going to look at grouped bar charts, where we'll take a set of fields and show them compared to each other, and then similar to that, do a stacked bar chart where you can actually stack up values which accumulate and combine to make a value. So that's kind of the next level as it relates to bar charts. So I hope you found that interesting, and I hope you're able to work through these examples and build this in your own SharePoint charts training site. And I hope you're excited with the possibilities and you're able to use that in your own organization. Good luck.